Well, hello. It is Friday. It is Friday. Welcome everyone to this another of our Munch and Learn. It's Friday. We are back here again. And if you're joining us, we are so grateful to have you joining us today. Wherever you're joining us from, you can go ahead and drop in the chat so we know where you're joining us from. And we are truly happy to have you. We are live on three medias today. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and we're here on LinkedIn. So we thank you so much for joining us. Come on in and join us. With me today, as usual, is my co-host, Dr. Sigfred Howell. And Dr. Howell, as we all know by now, he is a master life coach and he is a relationship coach and consultant. He helped men and the women they love to overcome all the obstacles in their relationship. He's also a corporate trainer and speaker. But the one thing I know about Dr. Howell, if I know nothing else, is that he has a powerful coaching program, relationship coaching program, and it's called the Peace Method. And if you have never heard about this peace method, today is your first day to hear about this peace method because this is a method that you will want to incorporate in your own life and relationship. So I want you to remember Dr. Howell with this one name, the peace method. And as true and as usual, and I'm not getting paid for that ad right there that I just did. Welcome, Dr. Howell. Thank you so much for being the co host over and over and over again. And as usual, I am Dr. Janice Brooks. I am a life strategist. I am a part of the Maxwell team of speakers, coach, and trainer. I am also a pastoral counselor. And so basically, what I do is to help you to strategize, to find strategies to grow your life, your team, your leadership, and to move at a pace that is in keeping with your goals and your dreams. And so today, talking about goals and dreams, we are on the topic of the importance of personal growth in leadership, and not just in leadership, in effective leadership, the importance of personal growth in effective leadership. And when we talk about personal growth and effective leadership, it is very interesting to see how these two intertwine in life. So, personal growth is all about developing yourself, learning new skills, and becoming the best version of yourself. On the other hand, when you think about effective leadership, this really involves guiding others, making the right decisions, and inspiring those who are around you, whether it's a team or it's in your home, in your own personal relationship. It's all of that. And so the connection lies in the fact that a leader who is committed to their own personal growth, they can better be able to support and to uplift other persons around them every day, every time. It's not that they're superheroes, but when they invest in their own personal growth, then they're more effective leaders. And one of the other things I want to mention before I ask Dr. Howell to give his input on what role does personal growth plays in effective leadership, I want to say that it is pretty clear. We can see that personal growth and effective leadership go hand in hand. It's like they are twins. You can't have one without the other. And when leaders focus on improving themselves, on enhancing their own abilities, this is an example that they set, and not just an example, it's a positive example they set to continue that journey that is ahead of us, because ahead of us, ahead of them, because life is a journey. And on this journey of life, we have to be intentional about our personal growth. We have to be intentional about the process and the path that we take on a daily basis. And that is the whole discourse of our time today, our next 30 minutes, is to talk about the importance of personal growth in effective leadership. So, Dr. Howell, I want you to take it away right now and share your thoughts as we open this session. What is the role that personal growth play in effective leadership?
Well, thank you very much for asking that very loaded question. The first thing I want to look at is the law of attraction. If you look at the law of attraction, it says that you attract people similar to you. So if a leader does not have the ability to grow, they start to become stagnant because you stop attracting people of a wide range of skills. The second thing I want to look at is the SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what are my obstacles, and what are my threats. And so a major thing that a leader needs to do is to self-analyze, self-reflect, try and figure out what are my strengths and how can I activate them, how can I advance them, how can I supercharge them. What are my weaknesses and how can I surround myself with people who are strong in the areas where I am weak? So without self-analysis, you might think that you're good at many things and you're a jack of all trades, master of none. So that's not a good philosophy. What you need to do is to amplify what you're good at, lead with your strongest foot, but then surround yourself with people who are strong in the areas where you're weak. Next, you got to look for opportunities of growth, opportunities for change, and look for obstacles in your life that you might have overlooked, because we all know what some of our weaknesses are. But there are a lot of us who think we're strong or average in areas that we're actually weak in. And we might brag, oh yeah, I'm good at this. And people around us are like, no, you're not. And so you have to look for the obstacles. You have to look for opportunities. You have to look for ways that you can improve yourself on a daily basis. And then last but not least, you have to look for your blind spots. Now, you may not be able to find your blind spots, but if you surround yourself with people who are strong in other areas, your blind spots start to become evident, especially when they come up with ideas that you had no idea about, when they stop you from making horrible mistakes. And you're like, oh, I never even saw that. Then you know that is a blind spot that you had, or a weakness that you had, or an obstacle that you may not have even seen because you had blinders on. And so surrounding yourself with people allows you to be more aware of your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities of growth, and blind spot things that will come and knock you off track, knock you off focus, that you cannot even anticipate or even prepare for because you didn't know that they existed. Secondly, leaders have to grow with emotional intelligence. People by nature are selfish in nature. So as a good leader, you have to become selfless or more selfless. And you don't necessarily shine, but you allow the people on your team to shine. But your main goal is to create an environment where if they fail, you take the brunt of it so that they have the mental flexibility and dexterity to try new things, to innovate, knowing that if they fall, you have a safety net for them. Their jobs aren't going to be jeopardized, that they will not be targeted, that they will not be excommunicated from the company or from the team. So emotional intelligence, knowing what people's fears are and kind of taking care of that so that they are free to mentally push themselves and challenge themselves to find new and innovative ways. The third thing, increased responsibility. And when we think about increased responsibility, a lot of leaders are like, well, I don't want more work. They're not paying me for all this. But maybe your responsibility is to give away more of your power. You enable people, you empower people. And so your increased responsibility is to decrease your responsibility so that other people can take charge. Because the true measure of a good leader is how many other leaders they can promote and create and exalt. And so by increasing the responsibility to other people, you are increasing your responsibility as a mentor, as a coach, and as a person who grows and waters the people around them. The last thing I want to talk about is, if you really want to grow, you have to be able to ask those tough questions. Where do I need to improve? And take that feedback and do something about it. And so, what that might mean is, I have to continually learn, and I have to create a situation where people feel free to tell me where I'm weak without the threat of repercussions, without the threat of hostility, without the threat of losing my job.
Wow, Dr. Howell, you have you have piled in so much into that one, and if I should ever try to wrap up that, there's so much. You talked about the strength, the weaknesses, which one to build on, and sometimes us believing that this is the area that we're weak in may not even be so. We need others around us to help us to identify the blind spots. There was so much packed into that. Then you went on to the talk about the emotional intelligence, which is really a very critical aspect of personal growth. And I personally believe when we talk about that emotional intelligence, it really should be one of the areas that we prioritize most. Um, and focusing on emotional intelligence, Dr. Howell pulls out that empathy that we need in today's day and time. In many of our leadership roles or places, whether it's in the home, the school, the church, we find that that empathy can be lacking because people are, you talk about the selfish and selfless, people are really sometimes selfish and for good reasons. But when you have that empathy, you're able to see others. Just to add to that, because you have fully answered, I believe also communication skills is very important, and it should be prioritized when we're thinking about that effectiveness in leadership. I also believe that self-awareness is also critical, because if we don't have a high level of self-awareness, then we are not able to really understand ourselves and how we present ourselves to other people. And last but not least, relationships, which is what you are master at. I believe that relationship can make a huge difference in how we connect with others and help them, whether it's in the workplace, at home. We have to prioritize and spend time to build those relationships. And when we do this, we are not just creating a different type of environment, but we are also lifting up ourselves, and we're also honing in on the skills that we need to become effective and better leaders, as I would believe. And we can do all of these. Whether we want to do them interchangeably or we want to do them simultaneously, we can incorporate all of these in our leadership roles, where mutual trust and respect is created. All of that really helps us to be the effective leaders that we want to be. We're talking about today the importance of personal growth in effective leadership. And Dr. Howell has laid down three very potent points, and I was just adding a little take to it. And it leads me to the other question, Dr. Howell. Sometimes we were led to believe that growth goes all over the place. But I personally believe that growth travels on a specific path. And so, how do one know when they are on the right path towards growth? How do a person know that they're on the right path? You're with me, Dr. Howell? Dr. Howell, I've not seen you again. It seems as if we've lost Dr. Howell. Um, while we wait for Dr. Howell to come back in, the question I was asking Dr. Howell is, how do we know that we are actually on the right path? We're actually on the growth path, because growth does follow a path, whether we know it or not. There are many signs and there are many clues that we can look for and try to figure out to know that we are actually on the right path to growth. Let me check to see if Dr. Howell is back here. I'm not seeing him again. We have lost Dr. Howell from the feed, but we're continuing while we wait for him to come back in. So when we understand ourselves, we talk about self-awareness. When we understand ourselves, we will understand whether we are progressing along the growth path or not. And yes, this can be tricky, knowing where we are. Let me connect Dr. Howell back in. I think he's back here. Dr. Howell is back. So yes,
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I was just continuing on how we can know. So I was actually letting our audience know that there are indicators that we can look for to know when we are on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
It's like seasons in life. When we know it's winter, we see different signs and different things progressing than when it is summer or when it is spring. And so we want to be sure. Oh crap, sorry. We want to be sure that we look for the indicators. This thing just popped up on my computer and I'm trying to figure out what it is, this technology thing. So we want to be sure that we look out for the indicators and this sign. Let's look at some of these signs that we can look out for. First of all, we want to look out for how easily we're able to adapt and embrace to change. That is a key. Those two are key aspects in how we will our personal growth will move in life and leadership. If we find ourselves more open to new ideas and we are willing to step out of our comfort zone, that's also a great sign that we are moving forward. When we're stuck in the place where we have been for 10, 15 years and we hold on and we say, well, this is how I used to do it. This is how I know it. This is how we used to do it back then we realize that we are not on the growth path. When we're on the growth path, we have to be able to be open to listening and to understanding new ideas. It doesn't mean that we're stepping away from our values. It just means that we are stepping out of our comfort zone. Additionally, when we are growing, whether in our relationship, personal or professional lives, we are able to set goals. And not just set goals, we're able to set goals and we're able to track them. And not just track them, we're able to celebrate the wins that come along the way. And some of these simple things that we think everybody's talking about setting goal. Why are we? Yes, growth means setting goals. Growth means tracking them. Growth means celebrating the wins along the line. And when we're able to do all of these little things that we think are little things, we're not able only to grow ourselves, but we're able to inspire others and empower the people around us that we lead and we guide. Because when they see us growing, then they will also get that drive to grow as well. So Dr. Howell, the question I actually asked, what are some of the signs that we see to know that we're actually growing in life and in leadership? And I talked about embracing the ability to adapt and to change, open to new ideas, stepping out of your comfort zone, watching out for the different things that happen around us, setting goals, big or small, celebrating. What else would you add to that?
I would say that if you find yourself being tasked with more responsibilities, if people come to you to get complex things solved or done, that is a sign that you're growing. That is a sign that people are looking and seeing that there's a change in you, and I can trust you, or they can trust you with more tedious and more difficult problems or situations. If you see yourself running towards helping others in areas that were not comfortable to you before, but you seem to come up with an answer, and sometimes you might even astound and amaze yourself, that is a sign that you are growing. That is a sign that you're becoming more confident. That is a sign that you're comfortable with your leadership role. So those are very important. But often we don't allow ourselves to get there. I believe it was Jim Rohn that said, don't ask for your problems to get smaller. Ask for yourself to become stronger and bigger. And so as the problems become bigger, you should also evolve to address those problems and take on those problems in a more mature way, because you are evolving, you are self-assessing, you are developing, and you are becoming the best version of yourself. But one of the biggest things that let you know that you're growing is your ability to weather the storm. When things get difficult, as we all know, things will get difficult. If you find yourself not giving in to negativity and a depressed way of looking at things like you did earlier on, that is a sign that you are maturing and growing and being, as we call it, growing into your own, or becoming aware of your abilities, not running away from difficult situations, but assessing them to see what's the best way to address it and move forward, not being scared to try new things and be innovative.
Wow. Those are really great examples of how to really move forward, how to continue to embrace the path of growth. And as we talk about the signs of growth, we know that growth does not come without its own share of challenges. And so the question is, what challenges will people experience on this path of growth to becoming effective leaders? And this is life, and it doesn't matter who you are. As you embark on a journey to becoming your best self, to becoming that effective leader or that person, uh, you are going to be bound to face a variety of challenges along the way. Sometimes it's hurdles after hurdles, and these can range from things that we don't even consider sometimes, because we are looking for the physical hurdles in our way. Sometimes a boss who is not cooperative, or who doesn't show empathy, or we're looking for a workplace that is toxic. We're looking for the physical kind of hurdles. But many times it's the emotional hurdles that are most damaging. We talk about things like self-doubt and fear of failure and just overall failure. We talk about things like the imposter syndrome. We talk about the inability to navigate complex issues. And when we go into the workplace, we think about being able to become a part of that team dynamics. There are so many things that are not physical that we don't sometimes think about, that these are hurdles. And I want to go back to fear, because fear is so wide. There are so many things that we fear without even realizing that we fear them. Even when we hurry is fear. A hurry is fear, because when you hurry, you believe that you're going to miss out on something. Somebody's going to get there before you. So these are things that along the growth path that we're challenged by. These are real obstacles. And each of these obstacles, don't think that obstacles are just in your way for in your way's sake. Many of these obstacles, they are there to actually place you in a better position. They are opportunities. They can be overwhelming, but they are real opportunities for growth. And let me just pause a minute to think about leaders in the workplace, because I have been there. We sometimes may struggle with balancing our personal values with the expectations of the company and the roles that we're in. And that is a significant one. We're given a target and we're told to, this is what the company wants. We're told to do certain things. But we struggle with that because sometimes it's tipping over on our personal values, something that we don't care to do. And we might encounter resistance from our team members, from our peers, from others around us. And so we may find it difficult to be able to communicate the vision clearly to others because we don't grasp the vision for ourselves. Another hurdle that we may encounter is adapting to changes in the workplace as leaders. But when we think about overcoming these challenges, we have to have a sense of resilience. We have to pull on our last strength of determination. We have to be adaptable. We have to have that willingness. It's like I just have to go for it. We have to have that willingness to learn, and to learn not just from what we overcome, which we call our successes, but to learn from our setback, those things that we believe that we have not yet overcome. Because these put together, as I said before, we can do them together or we can do them separately. But all of these work to shape in the lives of whoever is a leader, because we're all leaders in our own rights. We're leaders in our home, we're leaders in the school, in the workplace, in the community. So these are some of the ways, Dr. Howell, that I believe that are the obstacles that face us in our growth path. Add your points to that.
Well, you covered just about everything. I'll just add three more to that. The first thing is you always, as you grow as a leader, you will experience as a challenge resistance to change. Change is not comfortable. Change is painful. People have their way of doing things. And like you said before, people say things like this is the way it's always been done. That is fear talking. People don't like trying new things because they're afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of failure. And so let's do it the way things have always been done before. I believe it was President Obama that said change is good. They accused him of certain things, and he was like, well, you know what, we used to fight wars with bayonets, but now we use more updated weaponry because times have changed. And so you have to be able to adapt to different situations. I've watched certain movies and they say, oh, you bring a knife to a gunfight. You know, back in the day, knives were a thing where you could handle yourself, but now with guns, you can defend yourself from a further distance. And so you have to understand that with change, there's going to be resistance. People on your team might be fearful of change. And some of that fear might be fear of losing their job, fear of not being the smartest, fear of being obsolete, fear of being fired. There's so many different fears that people have. And so as a leader, you need to know the people on your team and be able to address their concerns, even if they don't say it directly. You should have some type of idea as to what their issue might be. And that's where that emotional intelligence that we spoke about comes in, the empathy. But not just the empathy, knowing people on a personal level, knowing what each person on your team wants to achieve in their life, so that you can help them along their pathway, so that they trust you and rely on you to have their best interests in mind. Secondly, balancing priorities. You say every leader has a boss. And that boss might expect things from you that may not be reasonable, but you have to be the buffer to your team. So you may have to prioritize certain things. So a leader must know the 80-20 rule, knowing what 20% of tasks that, if they get done, will account for 80% of the job that needs to be done. And so you have to prioritize your life in such a way that you're not chasing behind a ball on a string. You're actually getting things done, because, as you said, you had a show about busyness before. Busyness does not mean productivity. Busyness just means that you cannot catch your tail. You're so fast, you're busy running around in circles. But are you being productive? Are you getting what needs to be done? So being able to prioritize, so that the people below you as well as above you are comfortable with what's being done, even though that change is taking place. And last but not least, handling failures. A leader must be able to handle failures and not think that it is the end of the world. I was listening to an interview by Barack Obama, and he said, yes, I have some regrets in my presidency, but I do not concentrate on them, because I focus on the things that I did well. But there are some things that I could have done better in retrospect. But a good leader cannot hound themselves on what could have been, because everybody can do better with retrospect, hindsight. Anybody can say what they would have done better, but unless you are there in the thick of it and you can feel all the stresses that that individual has, you cannot walk in their shoes with hindsight and in retrospect. That's not fair. And so, to me, knowing how to balance your priorities, knowing how to deal with failure, and with failure, what I like, and you said that you've liked this before, failing forward fuels a friendly future. That means when you fail, if you fall forward, you're not falling on your back. You are actually getting up and moving forward from a further place along. A lot of people think that falling means you're starting over. No, failing and falling means that you're starting from a place of understanding. Oh, I failed. I have learned something. Now I can move forward. So look at failure as a means to changing what didn't work into something that would work better, and moving forward and doing it to the best of your ability. Those, to me, are the challenges that a lot of leaders struggle with as they progress, as they learn, as they adapt to be the best versions of themselves.
Excellent point, ladies and gentlemen. We have been, Dr. Howell, excellent points you have raised there. We have been here for the last 30 minutes, sharing with you on the topic, the importance of personal growth in effective leadership. I'm sure that you can take away something from this session today. However, I always say we never leave a session without giving our audience 1, 2, or 3 strategies that they can go with and say, this is a strategy that I'm going to use to ensure that I enhance my personal growth to become the best leader that I can. And as I said at the beginning, Dr. Howell has a relationship coaching program that is called the Peace Method. Mm-hmm. So after I have spoken on my 2 strategies, I would like you, Dr. Howell, to mention the Peace Method, because relationship is a critical aspect of growth in the home, in the workplace, in the church, in the school. Without that relationship being at its best, or even close to its best, many things are going to go awry. So I want you to mention that. I'm going to give my 2 strategies that I believe is necessary to overcome the challenges of becoming good leader. And there are several approaches that we could take to help us to tackle the hurdles of growth that comes in life and becoming the best leaders that we can. But one of the key one I want to mention today is when we focus on continuous learning and self-improvement. when I was growing up, when you hear about self-improvement, it seems as if it was a bad thing. Like, you're reading a self-improvement book, what is wrong with you?
Mhm.
Like, that is how we saw it in the very early days. But continuous learning and self-improvement is a key strategy to ensure that we overcome the challenges of becoming the best person we can and effective leaders. We also need to seek out new knowledge and skills that will help us to adapt to the changing times and environments that we live in. Another important thing to do is to develop strong relationships, as Dr. Howell will talk about, with others, even with our team members. Focus on open communication and trust, as these can greatly boost the collaboration and the problem solving that we need to have in every area of our lives. Finally, I'm going to say this because many of us are resistant to this: embracing feedback. Actively seek the input from others, whoever they are, your peers, your subordinates. They can help you to really identify the areas in your life that needs improvement. And that will not just help you in becoming the best leader that you can, but it will also help you that when you're setting your goals and you're assessing them, you will also think about the feedback that you got. And that will help you to stay on track, to stay motivated, and to ensure, as I always say, to navigate to your best path in life. And we are here to help you to navigate to that best path and that best chapter in life. So you take it away with your closing strategies, Dr. Howell, as it relates to how we can stay on track to become the best leaders.
Thank you very much. You asked me to expound on the peace method. The peace method is a method that I came up with that kind of helped me in my life to organize myself. It organized my thoughts, my ability to reflect. So peace stands for process. What are the processes or systems in my life that need to be looked at, that need to be changed, that need to be amplified? So as a leader, there are things that you do in the subconscious level. We call them processes. And those processes you have to look at to see if they're working for you. And if they're not working for you, can I get rid of it? Can I tweak it? And if it is working for you, how can I maximize it or supersize it to make sure that it is running at 100% optimal energy? The next thing is the E in the peace. That means you evaluate that system and you evaluate the strengths, the weaknesses, the obstacles, opportunities, as well as your blind spots for ways to improve all aspects of your life. So when people come to you with feedback, you evaluate that feedback to see whether or not it is a system that needs to be altered or whether or not it's something in your personality that needs to be altered or changed. So be able to take feedback. Number 3 is to accept. You have to accept that there is change that needs to be done. You have to be willing to accept that you are not operating at 100%. You're not perfect. So any feedback that you get needs to be addressed so that you can change. But change does not happen unless you accept that there is an area that needs to be addressed. And so as leaders, we have to accept that it is our responsibility to change. Because if you have 4 people on your team and 3 of those 4 people say that X is the problem with you, you don't get rid of the team. You reflect and see if there's some valid truth to what they're saying. But a lot of times as individuals in our relationships, we get rid of people because they say things that we deem to be hurtful, when in actuality is an opportunity to change and become better versions of ourselves. So we have to accept the positives, because everybody accepts positives, but do we accept the negatives and actually decide that we're going to do something about it? Which brings me to the C. The C means to commit. So once you accept that there's a problem, are you willing to commit to seeing it through? Are you willing to commit to being motivated to make sure that what needs to be addressed is addressed? even when you get tired, even when it's hurtful, even when you feel like this is too much for me? Are you committed to seeing it through? And then the last E is being able to enjoy every day. There are a lot of people in relationships, whether it's business, personal, or in society, they do not enjoy the day. They say, when I get $1 million, I'm going to be happy. When my kids are successful, I'm going to be happy. When I get to retirement, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy myself. No, be happy today in your own little way. If you wake up and you say to yourself, regardless of what comes my way, I'm going to have a good day. And then at the end of the day, you say 3 things that you're grateful for. That builds you into a more meaningful way of gratitude, a way that you can find the happiness in life. So the peace method is a way of identifying systems that are good, that need help, that need to be adjusted. You evaluate them, and then you accept your responsibility in the role, good or bad, and then you commit to the change that is before you, but then you enjoy the life that you have. God gave you this life for a reason. You may not enjoy every aspect of it, but you can enjoy your overall life. You may not enjoy every single part of your day, but you can enjoy your day. And so the method allows you to be more meaningful as you go throughout your day, more meaningful as you are a leader, more meaningful as you interact throughout your relationships.
Wow. Listen to me. This is just a 1% of the peace method. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. And you have your church group, you have your team in your workplace, you have your organization group, you have whatever group you have, even if it's a couple or 2 or 3 couples. I am confident that this peace method, again, this is not an ad, I'm not getting paid. This peace method is going to be something that you're going to want to ask to get into your place, into your workplace, into your school, into your church. This is something that will catapult the growth and development of both yourself and the people that you lead and interact with. Today, again, I want to say thank you on behalf of myself and Dr. Howell for staying with us for the last 45 minutes on this session. We are happy to be here each Friday. Sometimes we miss a Friday here and there. Life happens. But we are glad to be here another Friday to talk to you on another important topic. So we want you to look out again next Friday as we come back here and join with you in talking about a topic that we believe impact our lives positively or negatively, so that we can navigate to our best chapter. God bless you, and you have a great rest of your weekend. Be good, live in peace, and not in pieces.
Bye, everyone.
Take good care.